Welcome back, everybody, to His Heartbeat. And we got another great week, a great guest, Jennifer Robb. So, welcome to our show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, great to have you all the way from Dallas, right?
Right.
So, I'm sure I have some Dallas listeners, but yeah, she has a great story and a brand new book out. But before we dive into that, tell us a little bit about your family.
Yeah, so I am married to my college sweetheart. We've been married for 25 years.
Oh,
And we have three big kids. One's 20, one's 19, and then the other one is my little girl is 17. She's the baby. We live outside of east of Dallas, so we have some acreage, but we do have a petting zoo. Um, Donkeys, pigs, goats, dogs, the whole nine yards.
do
Um,
you really have a petting zoo, as in people come?
No, I
Yeah.
joke and say
Okay.
that's what we should do,
Yeah, you should.
um, but we haven't ever done it yet. We have some friends that have a wedding venue down the way, and I'm like, so they could have the venue and then they could come and do their have a little experience with the petting zoo too, but we haven't ever done it.
There you go.
Yeah,
It's fun.
yeah.
Yeah, so interesting you have pigs. So are they very high maintenance or not really?
No, not
Are
really.
any
I mean,
of them high maintenance?
the dogs.
Yeah, yeah, they like lots of love. How many
Yeah, the
dogs?
dogs are high maintenance. Really, that no, they're really not. I mean, pigs are pretty easy. Um, we've had ours for 7 years, so we've taught them tricks. They know how to sit, and you know,
Oh,
they're pretty smart. They're smart like a dog. Yeah,
okay. And no chickens.
not yet. We had chickens one time. We had 25 chickens, and it was just way too many.
Oh, yeah,
Too
that's a lot.
many. You need six, just enough to get some eggs, and then call it a day. 25 chickens was a lot. It's too
Yeah,
many.
that's kind of nuts. Well, that's fun. And who takes care of them mostly? You or and your husband or you or him or
No, mostly me and my daughter.
okay. All right.
Yeah, she is like a little animal whisperer, and so that's why we have most of them is because she always wanted the animals and the pets. Um, but now she's 17, so now I'm like, oh man,
Is
we've got
she
to have these things
I
because donkeys
know.
live like 40 years, and so they
Oh
may
my
outlive us.
gosh. So is she gonna go to college and leave you with all that or
She will probably go. I'm not 100% sure what she wants to do yet. She's a little bit kind of on the fence. She's not like a huge fan of school, and
okay.
has no idea what she wants to do. And so, if she can stay back another year, just kind of work and kind of do some things, then maybe, but she doesn't know yet.
Okay. Well, I know that's part of your story. So
It is.
I so Jen's book is called Warrior Mom Rising. So there's obviously a story behind that. So why don't you start us out and tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so about 9 months ago or so, I really felt like God was saying, like, you need to write this book. Like, I didn't set out to be an author. I'm a nurse practitioner. I've been in medicine for 25 years. And so it was never really like an intent to be an author, but I really felt like God was saying, you need to write the book. You need to tell your story from the mom's perspective. Chloe's not quite ready to tell her story, and that's okay. She will tell her story when she's ready.
Mhm.
But the point of the book is to tell moms that they're not alone, right? We did we went through some really hard struggles with Chloe and her mental health. She struggled really bad with anxiety and depression and then ultimately self-harm. And so the book is a little bit about part memoir about the story, but it's also about helping moms learn how to advocate for their children, but still advocating for themselves at the same
Mhm.
time so that they can thrive, right? And then it's really also it's faith-based in how God was with us through the journey, even though there were some really, really dark moments that
Mhm.
we that like I felt really alone. Um, but it's about how God can bring us through the fire and that there is a purpose within our pain, right? We don't always know what that purpose is in the beginning or why we're going through it, but there is purpose in the pain.
Yeah, okay. Well, there's a lot to unpack there. So, how did you come to that place? Like, what's been your journey with the pain that you've gone through with her?
So she was about 11 or 12 when she started really having some serious like anxiety and depression issues. Um, and I always tell the backstory a little bit like we were kind of like your traditional all-American Christian family, right? The kids were raised in church. My husband was actually a pastor for 20 years. He's
Mm.
now into financial advising, but we were kind of an all-American family, right? And so when she started like having some grades were slipping, she was becoming much more reclusive, wanting to sit in her room in the pitch black, those things, and you're kind of looking at like, is this normal teenage stuff?
Yeah,
Or are
it's
we
hard to
getting into
tell.
something else, right? And sometimes I feel like as a mom, we struggle with trying to know like, is it just normal teenage behavior, or is there something more going on? And uh, people, we have teenagers. You don't want to push because if you push their buttons too much, then they get all weird and mad and they don't want to talk to you anyway. But she just started kind of going down this spiral. And so Christmas Eve of 2020, we had found out that she had started cutting as a way to kind of try to ease some of the feelings and the noise that she was having. And so I had her in the counselor's office. We had gone through, I took her on Christmas Eve to a counselor that whoever I could find that was open. And we started that journey. And, through that, we had to change counselors several times. Um, you know, her pediatrician referred her to a psychiatrist and they wanted to put her on just a slew of medications. And that's not
Mm,
always what's needed, right? We had to get to the root of
yeah.
what was causing her to feel this way. Um, and ultimately, through the journey later on, we actually found out that she had been sexually assaulted by another peer,
Oh, okay.
that she had been holding in and keeping to herself, not wanting, right? She felt guilt and she felt shame and she did not want to talk about that. But, like when you have teenagers, they can't voice really what they're feeling because they don't really know what they're feeling, right? Like
Right, right.
there's so many things happening to their bodies and all of that stuff. And so she just kept it and she tried to carry that burden by herself. And she couldn't. So for us, the turning point of really when it hit rock bottom was on April 4th of 2023.
Okay.
She was home alone. She'd been home, was doing seemingly well. But that particular day, she wanted to quiet the noise, is what she likes to say. And she broke into a liquor cabinet, broke two locks on the liquor cabinet to get into it. And I couldn't get a hold of her. I kept calling her, calling her, calling her, couldn't get a hold of her. So I had my two boys that were at the high school, like right down the road, go home. Like, do not pass go, just go. And they got home and they found her unresponsive, laying face down in a pillow with vomit all around
Oh,
her.
wow.
And we didn't know what had happened. So, of course, they called 911. We finally got her aroused. They took her to the hospital. And when we got there, and of course, they started doing all their testing, um, her alcohol level came back four times the lethal limit.
Wow.
So, not the legal limit, but the lethal limit. And Chloe's a
Yeah.
very petite girl. She's a competitive cheerleader. So, she's like 5 foot tall. She's 100 pounds. And that was kind of the moment that we hit rock bottom, that we knew that the burden and the pain that she had been carrying, she was not processing well. Um, but it was also in that moment that I really understood when God said, "You have to surrender her to me."
Mm,
And that's really hard for a mama,
mm,
right? We control everything. We know our children intimately. We are everything in their lives. And to have to hear God say, "You need to give her to me," that was a very pivotal moment. And it was in
Mhm.
that moment that he said, as much as you love her, Jen, I love her more. And so part of the journey for me is just learning to surrender even the most cherished things in my life, which are my children.
Right, right.
And then coming out through that journey
So
and
what
how
does that look like to surrender your child to God? I mean, you're telling what it feels like, but practically, what does that mean for somebody listening?
you have to be able to just trust God's plan fully, right? And allow him to take control, and you have to relinquish some of the control, right? I wanted to control every aspect of how she was doing, where she was, every little thing, right? But when you surrender, you give all of it to God and you let him do what God is going to do, right? I mean, that's why I kept hearing over and over and over, you love her, but I love her more. I created her, so let me work in her and bring her out on the other side, right? It's just giving it all and just letting it go. Not that we pulled back, right? Like, not that I wasn't advocating for her or any of those things, but it was letting go of the control that I was going to be able to control every little nuance of her life and how she was feeling and what she was thinking. It's just not possible.
Yeah, yeah, and probably letting go on some element of the responsibility to fix her
Right.
and
But that's what I
letting,
mean. As a mama, we want to do all those things, right?
yeah,
We fix everything for everybody all the time.
yeah. So just trusting that God, because sometimes his plan is not, doesn't look the same as ours. Because I think we want to fix people overnight, don't we? We want to be
Oh,
like, when as a child, we would watch the show Bewitched, which
yep.
now, we probably wouldn't let our kids watch, but anyway, back in the day, we all thought it was innocent. And she just twinkled her nose and everything would happen. It didn't matter what it was. And I
But
think we
that's,
feel like that sometimes. Like we it's my job to just there's like a magical thing that I could say or a magical person they could meet with, or a scripture, or some step like pray with them every day, or blah 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 blah, that then they're going to be okay. So letting go of that and saying, God, what is it? So did you find the Lord leading you besides the letting go part? Then did you see him leading you in ways that maybe you wouldn't have chosen?
well, I mean, I think, when I think back, like the whole thing, right? Like none of us would choose these paths, right? That we struggle in. And I think we oftentimes as Christians and a lot of times as mamas wonder why God is letting us go through something, or there's such immense pain in our lives. And God never said that we weren't going to have troubles or that we weren't going to be, have hurt and have pain. And we all know that life has a way of lifing every day, right? Like, and it doesn't always have to be in the form of mental health with a child, but it can be other things that you're struggling with your child or your spouse or whatever. And I think it's just letting go and letting God, but I also think that it's finding joy in the smaller things too, right? Like in having that kind of attitude of gratitude, even when things are really hard and you don't feel like being super grateful, right? Because it's just pain everywhere. But every day I was reminded of finding joy in the moment. And some of that was like, yes, she's alive, right? She didn't have
Yeah,
too much to drink. But it was also in the fact that she and I could walk out to the mailbox together, and or that she and I could go out into the barn and play with her goats together, and I could see a glimpse of her and her light returning. Those are the moments that I think that God still shows up and says, I'm still here.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. So having the farm is probably really helpful for her.
Yeah, Chloe's always had this unique ability with animals. I mean, we always have always called her the animal whisperer. She has a unique ability to empathize and almost understand what the animal feels and says. And it's quite uncanny when you watch it happen.
Mm.
Um, but she loves these animals. And for her, they are her therapy. And so much
Yeah.
so that, through her journey, we knew that what she connected with most was animals, right? I mean, she has a very kind heart for people, but animals are soft spots. So we ultimately ended up getting her a service dog. And it was actually, we had been praying and thinking about getting her a service dog for quite some time. But actually, Chloe's brother took her for a walk one day and they found this little 4-week-old puppy that
Oh my
somebody had thrown
goodness.
away.
No
She was
way.
the runt, and they had just discarded her.
Oh,
And she could fit in the palm of my hand. She weighed 1 pound.
wow.
And of course, they picked her up, they scooped her up, they went ahead and I let them go ahead and take her to the vet. They took her to the vet. Chloe bottle fed her around the clock every day. And that little puppy's name is Luna. And Luna has been one of the biggest blessings for Chloe. And I look at that story and you think about somebody that wanted to discard Luna
Mm,
because she was the runt and she was small and she wasn't worth anything. But little Luna has turned out to be God's gift to Chloe, and she is an amazing service dog.
mm,
She knows Chloe, she loves Chloe. They have this just undeniable bond. And Luna walks up to Chloe if she knows Chloe's having a hard day. She can pick up when Chloe starts rubbing her hands together, which is a tale of Chloe's anxiety. And Luna will nudge her, and then Luna will put her body against Chloe's. So
well,
even in those moments, right? That's joy. That's little things where God is saying, "Look, I'm still here. I'm bringing you a
yeah,
dog that you prayed for."
yeah, it's
Now, is it
cool.
a regular dog that you would have gone to find at a service? Like if you go to pay to have a service dog, they're very expensive. Some service dogs are upwards of 30,000.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
But God brought Luna, and then we paid to have her service trained. And actually the trainers that we had taught Chloe how to train Luna.
Oh,
And through that, Chloe learned confidence and strength. So it was healing for her too. I
yeah.
mean, God is always there. We just have to look and we just have to see it.
Yeah, I mean, those are like what my question was, is there things that God has done that you could not have orchestrated, or, if you hang on too much to that control, then you miss out, the other person misses out. I think God has his ways. I've seen that even where we have to be really careful in the church. We get very rigid, right? So this is how you disciple someone. This is how you help someone. Step A, B, C, D, 12 steps, right?
Hmm.
And but God's ways are very unconventional sometimes and can almost defy logic at times. And even he knows exactly how far is too far.
Hmm.
And he'll let people get pretty far into it because that is often what we need for wake up
But
call.
sometimes that's the place that you have to get. And like for Chloe,
Yeah.
it was hitting rock bottom. Like when we came home from the hospital, she was still covered in vomit, and I remember I brought her in and she was so weak and just emotionally, physically, mentally just done. She couldn't even shower herself to get the vomit out of her hair.
Mm.
And I had to put her in the shower and wash her hair and get the vomit off. But it's even in those moments that the only thing she could say was, I'm sorry. And the only thing I could say as her mama was, it's going to be okay, right? I love you. We're here together. And in that moment, Chloe was at her lowest point. And the only way to do anything and to look, she had to look up. And God has worked through her and has brought people into her lives that she has helped, even though she doesn't like necessarily tell her story, but she can talk about the anxiety that she has felt or how she dealt with those things. And, reading her Bible and finding those just little moments. Like, I don't feel like, sometimes we're expecting like God's going to come in and just like zap and it's all going to be miraculously over, and we're going to be
Yeah,
like, ta-da, it's all better. But that's not
yeah,
how it is. I mean,
yeah,
he has to work through the process so that you can grow and step into who you're supposed to become.
yeah. I think I mentioned this, but it was a long time ago, like a couple years ago on a show. But I think growing up in the church, I didn't really grow up in the church from high school, so when I became a Christian. But I remember how they would show this diagram or this road, and then it becomes a Y, and you can
Hmm.
choose the right or the left. And so to me, that taught me there's a right way, there's a wrong way, and it's very defined. It's a nice paved road, and there's nothing in between. Okay, so everything's that way, every choice, and I've learned through a lot, same parenting and my own journey as well, that it's not that black and white, and and what God had to show me was more in parenting that your kids are on a journey with me. It's not that at times they've wide, if I can use that letter wide off,
Hmm.
and I got to get it back on. I got to get them over there. It's it's always the same road. It's always the same journey, and it looks different. And sometimes, like you said, sometimes it's a little dark, and sometimes it's a little unconventional, and sometimes it doesn't look very Christian. And but God is in it, and they're still on the path with him, though they may not know it.
That's true.
Though they may not know it, they may feel like, oh, I'm an atheist now, or I'm an agnostic now, or I'm a Buddhist now, or whatever, right? But God has them on this path, and he's so faithful. So our road, our journey, we're the same. We're on a path, right? But how we intersect with them is through God. What do you
Mhm.
want? What part do I have in that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? So, you'd say control is one of the most common faux pas, if I can say, of parents. Are there other things that you would say? Kind of like I have my little journey story, but that um, parents can often get a wrong idea. Like what you say, guilt,
I mean, I
self-guilt,
think
blame
that
myself, all that kind of
especially
stuff.
as right as mamas, right? Like we're so much to everybody all the time, right? We're the taxi drivers, we're the schedule keepers, we're dinner and everything defaults to us, right? And I think that we get so wrapped up in the control and then comes the feeling of shame and guilt. Like, what did I miss?
Mm,
Right? What if I would have done this? And then we get trapped in this cycle of the what if. Well, what if I had done this? I mean, and I was there, right? Like, I mean, there were many times that I'd question, like, how did I miss this? You know, we were very cautious with her. We didn't let her go anywhere. She was the baby girl. She was protected by her two brothers. I mean, there's all of those games, and then you get trapped in this cycle of guilt and shame, and then you're just beat down. But that's just the enemy that's lying to you to say, yeah, look at you. You failed. You're not a good
mm,
mom. But that's not God saying that. I mean, the thing that we have to learn is that God made us our kids' moms because we are who they needed,
Yeah, that's good.
right? Like God didn't make a mistake by making you their mom, but he also never expected us to be perfect. And I feel like moms and especially moms, but probably all parents fall into this trap of trying to feel like they have to be perfect and control everything in this little box. And that's just not the way it is. I mean, we are imperfect people too. And I don't think that, God expects us to be perfect, but we have to step out of that and dismiss the enemy's lies and continue to get up every day to fight for our children, to fight for them to see God's goodness and God's faithfulness. Like our children are watching. They see us. They watch and they mimic what we do and how we act. And, I mean, I watch it with Chloe, like, her style, her clothing style mimics mine, right? Like if I'm going through it, I want to wear dresses phase, then she wears dresses, But they're intuitive beings and they see us and they watch our response. And if we just feel beat down and unworthy and we don't get back up and fight another day, well, they're going to lose their desire to fight and to step into what God has called them to.
Yeah, yeah. So in your book, how do you break it down? Like, are there certain chapters that help moms in different ways or
Yeah, so like the book is I try to go through like building a battle plan, right? Is because it's Warrior Mom Rising. And so trying to build up that warrior mom that's in us, that's in each of us, right? Some of us are louder than others, some of us are more subtle and, have different personalities. But within us there's always that warrior mom, right? And that my goal through the book is to teach you how to advocate for your children, right? That not all therapists are the same, right? We went
mm,
through multiple different therapists until I found one that was a perfect fit for Chloe, somebody that she trusted, but they were specialized in trauma and adolescence. And that's different than just a regular counselor, but I want to teach you how to advocate and how to recognize those things, the signs of who not all psychiatrists are the same. But also, I want to teach the moms how to take care of themselves through this process, right? As moms, we often forget we're so busy taking care of everybody else that we just feel even more empty and more beat down because we didn't take a little bit of time to pour into ourselves. And you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't take care of everybody else if you don't have anything left.
well, you
So, like,
do, but
part of,
what you pour isn't very great. I mean,
right, but
yeah.
there's just not a lot left. But in
Hmm.
order to show up and to be the mom that God needs us to be to our children, some of it revolves around a little bit of self-care and taking care of yourself. One of the ways that I used to do that was I mean, in the Noah's Ark zoo over here that we have, you can't go anywhere without a dog or somebody following you, a kid or whatever. And so I would just go lock myself in the car and just listen to worship music for like 10 minutes a day, just enough to kind of reset and feel like I could take a breath again in those really hard moments. And I think that it's important that moms learn how to do that for themselves so that they can be everything to everybody all the time.
Yeah, that's good. Well, the last question I want to get your thoughts on, if a lot of parents are in a situation where their teens, they just want nothing to do with them. They shut down, don't come in my room, don't look at my stuff, don't tell me what to do, and possibly even won't even obey, right?
Mhm.
As in, I'll come home whenever I want to, cussing at you, that kind of thing. Um, or like walking away from your values, Christian values, and relationship with God, that kind of thing. So, any suggestions for moms that have kids in that state?
I mean, that's tough. I mean, first you're gonna I mean, you have to start with prayer, right? And diving into that. And again, that goes back to you can't control everything. And some days they're going to walk away, right? They're going to make their own choices. And the only way to deal with that is to be centered and to be strong in your relationship with Christ so that he can carry you through. But I also think that it's about setting boundaries for them, right? I mean, some of the things that we did with Chloe that in the moment, she was angry and she was mad. But I, as the mom and as the parent, knew that it was for her own good. And, we took away her cell phone. Our kids live in this, everything is instantaneous and cell phone world and social media world. We took away her phone and I took it and I changed the number and I deleted all of her contacts.
Mm.
You won't have contact with anybody that you used to have contact with. Was she happy about it? No. But in order to protect her, that's what I had to do in the moment. Right. And so I think sometimes it's making hard decisions, even though you don't want to make your kid mad. Right. That's hard. You don't want your kid to be mad at you. You don't want to push them further away. But sometimes that's what they need. They need boundaries and they need strength and they need you to say, it's going to be okay. You're not going to like it. It's different. It may be hard, but we will get through it somehow. And to this day, Chloe, after she turned 16, she looked at me and she said, "Thank you. Thank you for making those hard decisions. Thank you for protecting me from what I didn't even know I needed to be protected from."
Mm.
They don't always say it in the moment. It may take, I mean, that was, it took Chloe 3 years to be able to see that I wasn't trying to punish her or make her life miserable. I was looking out for her own good. But if, kids are going to ultimately make their own decisions. I mean, they just are. And sometimes we just have to say, okay, Lord, I don't know what you're doing. This is not how I would do it. He knows better than we do. And I just think that it's important for us to stay grounded in our relationship with Christ so that we can show up every day for our kids and we can pray for them and we can try to show them the right way.
Yeah, these are all really good things. And I will jump in with the woohoo on the prayer. I think we underestimate the power of our prayers. And I think partially because we pray and it won't happen instantaneously, but God wants to teach us to really persevere. And um,
But
your
that goes back
books,
to the whole like instantaneous thing, right? We live in the
yeah,
Amazon world, right? Like where you push a button and
yeah,
it's like
yeah,
there the same day or the next day, right? And we forget that God's timing is not our timing.
yeah, that's right.
We don't always know what his plan is ultimately, but we just have to be okay and just trust in that God has got it one way or the other.
Yeah, and he's interested in us growing through all this as well. So I'm sure you've grown quite a bit through all this.
Mm, yeah,
So
yeah.
you called it warrior mom, and just acknowledging that there is a spiritual battle going on against our kids, against our families, against our marriage. The enemy wants to take out Christians, right? Because we bring glory to God, and that's his goal is to get less people giving glory to God. So
Well, and you think about the
realize that
family
you're in a
unit,
war.
right?
Hmm.
And the family unit of what the family is. I mean, of course, if he can take that out, then he doesn't have anybody to show love and and comfort and show God's grace, right? I mean, in a family unit, you're constantly extending grace to one another because you even in a marriage, right? You hurt each other's feelings. You say things you just out of anger or because you were upset or hurt, and you just have to constantly extend grace. But that's what God does for us too, right? He extends his grace. And if the enemy can take that out, then he's won. But that's
Yeah.
why the book is very strategically named Warrior Mom because it's getting up and I talk about in the book putting on your battle armor every day putting it on and getting up and fighting another day, even when you don't feel like it, even when you don't think anything's changing, even when you feel like the whole world is still against you and nothing is changing, no one's getting any better. But it's still in those moments of being obedient and getting up and putting that armor on and saying, okay, God, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. The battle's very strong and it takes time. I think I read the passage recently about um, Gabriel could not get to uh, to the place that he was needed because it took 21 days to get there because of the battle he was in. And so, God is at work and he wants you to join in through your prayers for your kids, for your family. Um, and and you're toughing it out together, right?
Hmm.
For victory for our kids. Well, thank you so much, Jen. This was really, really awesome. I encourage you all to get out there, and I assume it's on Amazon
It,
instantaneously. Can get it by tomorrow.
it is on
Warrior.
Amazon, Warrior Mom Rising. It's on Amazon. There's the paperback version, an ebook version, and then if they have Kindle, they can actually download it for free.
Okay. And you have a website, I know. Can you share
So
that?
warriormomcoach.net. There is free resources on there that they can go to. They can also join in our Facebook community. It's just a Warrior Mom Rising group. It's a free group for moms to come together and, ask for prayer if they need, if they're struggling with their kids in some way. Um, so it's just building community because mamas, we need community. We need support. We need somebody that to understand, that can empathize and sympathize for where we are. And then also feel like give us hope for where we want to go.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Yeah, y'all check it out if you want to join in on that Facebook group and have a prayer group of prayer ladies join in with you. And I'm sure you all can understand one another's woes and
Yes.
successes. So that's great. Okay, thanks so much, Jen.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, and y'all, looking forward to being back again with you next week. Have a great week and share this episode with others. And please, don't hesitate to send out in a review. We'd love to hear what you thought. All right, take care.